All right, everybody. Oh, happy day. I hope you're doing insanely well. Today, I have a special guest. I've got Justin from Senior Life Services, a team builder, getting some crazy things done. So very privileged today to have Justin on the channel. Justin, say hey, brother.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Thanks for coming on with us. And I know
Yeah.
telesales is a passion of yours, just
hmm
like that's what we do a lot of. And it's so good to have good folks. And you're definitely a friend in the business doing some crazy good things. And, share with the audience, like, how long have you been in the insurance industry? Like your background, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with them.
Yeah. So I got into the insurance industry after selling cars. I've been in insurance. I think I got licensed in like 2018, but I didn't really do anything with it. It was like my license was such a ridiculous process to get. It took me like a year because I had all this paperwork I had to get together, and I didn't have the best past per se when it came to getting an insurance license, but everything worked out. So I was at New York Life, awesome company. I learned more about insurance, and I'm actually kind of glad I started there. I didn't learn much about sales there, but I learned a lot about insurance. So it's really cool. Got brought up around some big guys in that part of the industry, and there they make you think they're the only ones worthy of selling life insurance. So good
Right.
company. They're pretty good at that. But I didn't really do much with it. I was kind of doing it like part time, not really, because I was just trying to find my way, and then I got into final expense. I kind of just fell into final expense because I wanted to run ads on Facebook because I got declined for my Series 6 license. I passed the exam, got a great score, but I applied and they said you can't. So they said, we'll give you your insurance license, but not the security. So I said, okay, whatever. And then I was like, I'm going to market ads online, market for leads. But then New York Life said, no, 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 we sell securities. You can't do that without it being compliant. And then you have to put those like corny compliant, like, meme ads up that like no one wants to read. So then I'm like, okay. And I just met a guy who got me into final expense. And yeah, that was it. I was independent for a while. And now I'm with Senior Life Services now. We're a captive agency. So I'm here and I love it.
Love it, buddy. Being a team builder like you are and just getting stuff done. Crazy proud of you. And that's exciting stuff. And it's funny how your past, you kind of work for a quasi captive agency. Am I speaking
Mhm.
right? At the first place you hung your hat
Yeah,
on?
they are first for the first for your first 3 years. All you can sell is them. And then after that, you get to bring in broker out to other places.
That's interesting. We've got very similar past backgrounds where we both kind of started off captive in the industry and didn't realize what the world really looks like. And
Mhm.
it definitely opens things up. So you decided to go into insurance. And what do you like best about, final expense sales? What's your thing that you just really enjoy about it?
I think it's like it comes down maybe it comes from me having sold cars, and I feel like it's a hustle. Like every day it's fun. I don't have to like pretend to be someone else as like a financial advisor. I don't have to like pretend I'm like I don't know. I just had this weird like feeling, almost like pretentious feeling of having to when I sold these, was trying to pitch these like huge whole life policies and annuities and stuff. And like, it wasn't me at the time because I couldn't afford what I was trying to sell. So I got into final expense and it kind of hit home a little bit more because like, okay, I can see how this is like easier to sell someone. The need is greater. And then I started seeing the volume of it and I was like, okay, this is kind of like a no-brainer to me because it's easier to market. You don't have to like convince someone who's 70 that they're that this is something that's important. And the commissions were great and it was easier to sell in scale because I didn't have to teach someone like all these different complicated products. So from a business growth standpoint, a final expense really appeals to me because it's very scalable, it's teachable, it's very marketable. Our clients pay typically, whether or not what's going on in the economy and everything. So that's really what appeals to me about final expense, and it's fun and I just enjoy it, man. It's like I love our clients too. I love the stories. Have some. I'm sure you have plenty of stories, and I got plenty. So it's fun. That's really everything about it, I guess.
Sweet people, but what a background. I mean, going from car sales, I got some good buddies in car sales that still do it. And man, it's tough to get inventory where, what you and
Oh
I are
yeah,
doing. It's like we've got an endless supply of
that's
clients,
true.
an endless supply of folks to see. 11,000 people for the audience are turning 65 on the daily. we're not going to have a well that ever runs dry. Justin and I are going to constantly just be getting it done, having people to see. We're not going to run out of a prospect pool where these car dealers right now, because of chips overseas, not to digress into that, but they can't even get
Yeah.
cars.
No, seriously. I have friends in the business and I get it. My friend owns a dealership and I'm like, I wanted to get a Bronco for someone, help him reserve it. And he's like, yeah, it's an 18-month wait. I'm like, dude, really? And I'm like his friend. Like he wouldn't just say that. He like, it is that long. So it's crazy.
It's nice that we don't run out of prospects. That's a powerful thing. So what was your biggest like takeaway when you went from like car sales and you jumped into the insurance world? Was there anything that felt like it was just different or off a little bit? Because it is a different industry. I mean, sales is sales for sure, but it's a different skill set when you're jumping into the insurance game. When you went from car sales to then insurance agent, what was different for you? Because I've got a lot of men and women that have partnered with me that used to be in car sales and have done phenomenally well. It's a great set
Yeah.
of skills.
Yeah. I've had people who did well in car sales do well here. I have people who did well in car sales do poorly at this too. So there are two things I can think of. Number one is people come to you in car sales, right? So there's the brick and mortar. People come to you. You don't have to worry about marketing. You don't have to worry about any of that prospecting because everyone comes to you. Now, the dealerships typically, if they're a good dealership, they'll have tools for people to be able to prospect existing clients or old leads, which is like they have a department for that. But as a car salesman, if you're at a decent dealership, you can kind of just hang out outside and greet people as they come. And that's what I did anyway. I just hung out outside. Someone pulled in, I go say hi. When you sell insurance, if you go from car sales to selling life insurance, like you're like kind of borderline like brainwashed at how cool the products are sometimes by the people who like want your sometimes uplines or places that you work with. And then you go to tell people about it and they're not like as excited as you are. And it's like, okay, well, that's weird. I'm used to people coming to me. So number one, I have to go fish for my clients instead of baiting them. Right. So I'm not bait and switch way, but like in a dealership, it's baited because the dealership's there and then people have to go there to get the car. For insurance, you have to go fishing, you have to go hunting, like you have to go prospect it. So that added a whole nother dimension to my life that I didn't even think about before, because prospecting is like the most important thing. I mean, you can be a mediocre salesman, and if you have enough people to talk to, you're going to make a good amount of money. But if you're the best salesman, you got no one to talk to, you're in trouble. So for me, it was prospecting was huge. I had to really learn how to prospect and find people. And then number two, the urgency. A lot of times when people buy a car, they're going to make a decision. Like people have to have a car to drive, and they have to get to work. They have to, whatever. And it's a flashy product too, so you can really appeal to like the cool, like feel good about it and the materialistic side of it. So life insurance, it's kind of this thing that's in like the ether, and you do get a policy, but it's not a tangible thing. And they don't technically have to get it. Like it's something that they don't really have to worry about themselves. So you have to really establish, it's a true sale. Like no one comes to, rarely do people come to buy life insurance. That's why I think our industry is great, because people buy health insurance. People don't buy life insurance, right? They have to be sold it. So those are two things. It was a more challenging, so you had to get better at sales and prospecting. Those were the two biggest differences for me.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. The difference between, a commodity, right? Like everybody needs to buy toilet paper. Everybody needs a
Yeah.
car. Nobody wants to walk. Like I don't like walking. I'm lazy sometimes, right? I'm like, I'm not walking at 80 miles. Screw that. Could we? Of
Yeah.
course. Would you like it? No. Right. So like even with insurance, it's like Medicare salesman. It's like everybody views medical insurance like it's toilet paper. I must have it or things get really dirty really quick. Life
Yeah.
insurance,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I can wait on that. I'm not going to die right now. It's not viewed the same way. And it's a sale for sure. And I love that, where you kind of figured that out right quick and just adored it. I mean, it's a fun group of people. And would you ever say that maybe it's a frustrating group of people sometimes too? What were your frustration points when you jumped into the industry from going where it's kind of inbound, where they're coming to you, and then you're now kind of hunting? When you went into the insurance realm, what was the frustrating thing for you when you first entered the market?
Yeah. So, well, when I first entered at New York Life, it was finding people who had enough money to sell the products that I was marketing to. And then I wasn't really sold on them. Like, I'm not sold on an annuity, to be honest. Like, I don't, I don't really see at this point, I wouldn't put something in something for such minimal return. I wasn't sold on the idea of like a huge whole life with cash value because I'm like, I can invest in my business at this point and keep growing and get a greater return. I understand the importance of like it, and I wasn't making enough money for those like 5% deferred gains to make a big deal to me. So I wasn't as much sold on it. I was sold on the final expense stuff because I had dealt with that a couple times in my life. But the I'm sorry, I feel like I'm getting off topic here.
Oh, love
Reiterate
it.
the question again because I was just right there. You asked me if I'm
We were just
sorry,
talking
dude.
about kind of the frustrations that you felt like
Oh
when you
yeah, yeah,
first started in the
frustration as well.
industry, but I love it.
Right.
Like you're right though. This is great. Um, hope the audience enjoys this. If you do, feel free to like the video. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Free resources always at jasonfinalexpense.com. But this is huge. You've got to be what he just said, what Justin just said here was gold for you, the audience. He says you have to be sold to sell. Do you hear that? He can't sell annuities because wasn't sold on them at the time. If you don't own a life insurance policy, you're going to have a tougher time selling it. That's my tip to you as we're talking. So we're going to talk about his frustrations for sure. But that was a golden nugget that you were just dropped there. You have to be sold on what you're selling if you want to find success. You can't be selling annuities if you don't have confidence in it, but if you don't believe in it. Our agency sells a ton of annuities, believe it or not, to the tune of
Oh, I
millions.
believe it.
Insane. I mean, we've got bonuses across the nation for clients that are double digits,
Wow.
crazy products. I mean, return of premium after just 4 years. We got powerful options for good people, but I've witnessed them. I've done this for such a long time with annuities that I believe in it so wholeheartedly because I've seen what it does for my consumer. Just like what, you and I experienced for final expense to take care of people. It's a big deal. So I appreciate you bringing that up, brother. That was huge. That was a huge
Yeah,
tip for folks.
yeah, for sure. Definitely, you got to be sold on what you're selling. And
So your
as opposed to
frustration. Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
brother.
no,
So I was just saying your
no,
frustration points that you've faced.
yeah. So in insurance overall, I'll kind of talk about what frustrations I felt over like overall, like the whole time I've been doing it, I guess, because that's got some impact to me. So at first it was like, hey, how do I find people to buy these products, and how do I generate a pipeline? And then it was how can I get referrals? And then it's been how do I keep a consistent lead source? How do I how do I deal with roll up debt and chargebacks? How do I keep my agents happy? How do I motivate other people to have the same drive as me? How do I help people get their life together? Like I had to figure out my first year in business. How do I find that good talent in people who are up every day and up every day and working and trying to improve themselves and want to get into this business? And how do I nurture someone with a good attitude to become a good salesperson, and then how do I turn a good salesperson into a leader? So those are some of like just the daily frustrations now is not as much sales based as growth. It's like, what do I have to do to reach the next level? And I'm super impatient with myself. Like I want to be light years ahead right away. And sometimes the frustration is that it can't always happen in insurance because it's a get wealthy slow business. It's not like get rich quick. You can make a
Right.
lot of money quick, but like other guys I know who are making, like, I'm talking millions a year profit, not just like gross. They've been in the business for decades. So it's like it's a long-term thing. So just impatience is a frustration too.
Oh, 100%. I mean, small steps to the big goal. A lot of people have heard that. It's so true in this business. People that want the steroidal immediate hit, like, you mean I can't like join you, Justin, and immediately make $1 million?
Oh
Come on,
yeah.
man. What's wrong with this? That's what everybody's
Yeah.
saying, right? Or like
Hmm.
I can immediately make six figures and not pay my car
Yeah.
payment and recruit everybody with a pulse. Yikes. I've got talking about downline debt, the pain of that. Man, I talked to an
Dude.
agent that works for a place that ends in L. We'll leave it at that. And seriously, they recruit every person with a pulse, told to do job boards every day, and then had roll up debt vector of $85,000, 85
Oh my
grand. And
gosh.
this is a producer that doesn't even do 50,000 a year on personal production, but was told by this particular agency, hire everybody, get on job boards every day. Everybody with a pulse, you're going to put them in your downline. Let's go. I'm going to throw downlines into your downdraft. And this downdraft just caused a fire for this sweet, okay, agency owner that didn't know any better. and 85
Crazy.
grand of Vector. Oof. Right. And well, I'll be dropping content on that later, but talk about yikes. Talk about the scary side of doing what you and I do if you
Seriously.
don't vet who you partner with.
I had a
It's
Vector for like 70 grand my first year building a team.
out 70
I paid
G.
it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
paid it in the year. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then
That's
more.
it. You got to be so careful. Like in my agency, I'll only partner with 1 out of 30 on average. I'm very
Yeah.
selective of who joins the work family, just from a cultural standpoint. But yeah, that kind of a fire, man, talk about a frustration in this business.
It's crazy.
Here we are, you're trying to make wealth, and everybody shines you on about go be an agency owner, go make millions, and they don't talk to you about chargeback debt if you don't sell it the right way. It's crazy.
It is. That's why where I am now, they cover roll up debt for me. So it's makes it a little easier to
Well,
take
I
some of
bet
those
that
risks. But
became a big thing after you got popped with a 70 G roll up debt. Yikes!
oh
I
yeah.
mean
I
that
mean,
that
I started building a team my first year, a
sure.
telesales team. So telesales, as you know, has a little bit higher of a chargeback than from what I've seen over average face to face. Some agents telesales have great retention, but yeah, I mean,
It really depends on how you sell, brother, for sure. Some agencies, you're right, they've got really bad persistency. Our agency at jasonfinalexpense.com actually has like 1 step under platinum. We are
that's
so
awesome.
consistent with our persistency. We have better persistency ratios than some face-to-face agencies because
That's
of how
awesome,
we
dude.
sell. We use different techniques to translate the conversation to help the client win instead of like a lot of agencies that do tell us, you and I both know it's push, push, push. Let me get the biggest
Hmm.
AP. Let me squeeze you into the
Yeah,
most
no.
expensive premium, right? And then you wonder why it blows up on you a month later and
Yeah,
everything goes bonk. We don't do it that way. So we use some different techniques that really help us mitigate that. But you're dead right. A lot of telesales organizations doing it with kind of Frankenstein scriptings, they get popped hard and it's ugly. Like their chargebacks are not good. I've
no,
seen that a lot.
exactly, for sure.
But did you notice it? Did you have a good mentor when you first started, Justin? Because when you jumped in this industry, like what would you say was one of the greatest things that helped like you before you even joined SLS, before you became like powerful in your space? Like who would you attribute or what would you attribute to you finding your grounding, your feet underneath of you for
Got
success?
attributed to me. You
Yeah.
know, I didn't really have much support. I would attribute it to me and I was fearless about investing in myself, right? And investing in my when I joined New York Life, the guy was about to retire. Honestly, really good guy. He passed away a year ago. He was super nice guy, but he, 45 years selling life insurance for New York Life. So he's like checked out, and
He's
he's
done.
like senior partner, he's like good. He's his renewals were millions a year. And then when I went independent, it was how a lot of independent agencies are, where it's like, hey, we're gonna bring on a bunch of people. My spread's not super high on you. I may not invest a bunch of time into you. And now I was okay. But I honestly I think myself. I mean, I put a lot on credit cards for personal development courses, to attend business seminars and business events, sales seminars, sales events. I mean, I was in $100,000 in credit card debt from personal investments my first year, and I didn't have the money. I just went all in learning on in investing in myself, and then I paid that all off my second year and paid off my Vector debt and saved up 100 grand my second year. So I got all that done, but that was because of the investments I made in myself in the beginning. So I don't mean to say it in a conceited way. There's been plenty of people. And then James Whitley with Senior Life Services, and Rory Doherty and Grant Doherty. I mean, they changed my life when I got with them. So those guys, that was the first people I've ever worked with in insurance who were like, here's a checkbook. What do you need? Like, that's pretty much what it was. So it was, and how can we help you grow? Like, what systems do you need in place to just totally take off? So that was the first time. And then once I got into like SLS, that was like, when I really had the investment from people. But at first, and anybody watching this, guys, invest in yourself. Like get better, get good, and then wake up every day and push every day. Like your first year is gonna suck. Excuse my language. It's gonna be tough. Like it may not be as hard as some people may have it harder than others, but your second year will be better than your first year. And it's like, I say it like working out. I'm into fitness. So like if someone went to the gym for a week and they're like, oh man, I'm not seeing the results I want, I'm quitting. It's like, no, you know, you're going to see those changes after months of consistency, not like overnight. So, and I know you have a great training program I've heard of where people come in and they have a ton of production right away. We have agents who come in who have a ton of production right away. But still, regardless of how good the training is, guys, if you don't apply it and don't invest that stuff for yourself, I've had people who have come in and not made a sale, you know, and it's like, hey, well, no, so but invest in yourself but that's it. So I thank me for the first couple of years, and then I would thank and then I would thank James, Grant, and Rory, and then everybody that I worked with, everybody in my downline, because I'm only where I am because of them, right? So like
Love it.
they are I man, I would do anything for the people that are in my downline. Like I've done just crazy things that I haven't even done for my family members. So there's a lot of people, but at first it was just me.
I love that, Justin. We're kind of birds of a feather that way, where it's like my work family is everything to me. And it's like the greater I can make them, the greater I make us. And to have that amazing relationship where you're really investing into agents as opposed to like what you experience where, oh, I'm an independent agent. My upline doesn't get a hold of me. And it's like, go flounder on your own, hope you finish strong and make it. See ya. And you had to invest and double down and invest money into yourself to make it. And you have, you know, found success and crazy proud of you, brother. It's huge. And that not everybody has the you know what to to do that on YouTube, but they
Yeah.
don't have the courage necessary to capitalize. And you know, I think sometimes, and you see this too, I think with some agents, they'll say they want it, but they don't want to do the 4-letter word and work for it. It's like you've
Yeah.
got all the tools, you've got all the training, but you don't pick up that 9,000-pound phone. That does happen in this
I
industry. It's like, wow,
got one
man. It's
right
like the
here. I got
phone's,
one right here.
yeah, you got it. I mean, the phone's not that strong. I mean,
I
come
got
on,
one
he's
right here.
right. There you go. Get it. Get it. But it's like, but that phone, right? It can either help you make profits or that phone can just beat the living tar out of you from an emotional state. And have you ever seen this in your personal career, in your first couple years of the industry, like for the audience? And I didn't prep Justin for any of this, so we're just spitballing with you, the audience. But was there ever a time where you wanted to quit in your first year? Was there any point in time where you had a little bit of quitting you, just a little bit, even if it was fleeting? Did you ever have that? I'm always curious.
You know, I've said it before, but it was a lie. I didn't. I knew I didn't give myself a plan B. Like there
Huh?
was no plan B. There was no going back to selling cars. I did well in car. I was a finance manager, you know, like I did well. Like I could have, I did okay. I did pretty good. They do good. For me, you know, it's funny you say that because, so Landon McCarter, he runs secure agent marketing for
Right.
Cody Askins, and him and I've known Landon for a while. I've known Cody for a while. We have a pretty good relationship between them and our agency and stuff. And I remember my first year before I was with Senior Life Services, he called me one day. He's like, dude, like, how do you, because he knew my whole situation, right? He's like, how do you like maintain such like positivity and composure? And like, how do you just push? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know it's going to work out. And I don't know. I just had faith. I knew it would. And this is another thing, man. Like, I, so before so July 2000 before July 2014. So like from 2009 to 2014, I had a severe opiate problem. It was really bad. Like I was a complete mess, and you know, I didn't have a place to live. I got in trouble. So like having gone in that situation, I had nothing. I had no one. I was spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially bankrupt in every way, sense, and physically, in every sense of the word. So like when I got into this, I wasn't like, I'm gonna quit, because I'm like, how can't get any worse than that, than where I was. So I don't know, I didn't give myself an option to quit. I was frustrated at times. Yeah, like I wanted to be doing more, but what helped me was keeping my eyes on the long-term goals and seeing them already happen in my head. Like I was already there. Like I was already, and I'm not there yet, but I'm already there in my head, you know, and like I'm gonna do that. It's not if, it's when and how quick can I make it happen. But guys, if you get focused on your goals, and that was some personal development stuff I did that really, really helped me push. Like I applied that stuff, and I'm like, okay, I have a goal that I want, and I'm seeing it. Think and Grow Rich helped me do that in another book, Train Your Brain for Success. And I was there, and I manifested it, and yeah, so that's why. I mean, I wasn't really scared. I mean, I couldn't have, and I didn't want to quit. I mean, I was so invested at that time. I'm like, dude,
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna die before I quit. That's kind of how it was. So yeah.
Love that. Eh, So you burned the ships, so to speak. You went
Mhm.
all in, right? All the cannons were loaded. And then you just went on full blast and like, I'm not going to be where I was. And that's now you're making the wealth. I mean, that's huge. Where you weren't afraid to invest in yourself. You were intentional and your training and your skill set and but more importantly, your will set. I mean, a lot of people don't have the will that you possess, Justin. They don't. And that is something that a very small group of agents and even agency owners for that matter possess. A lot of places don't have that. And that's big. I'm proud of you. That's a big
Thanks, man.
story. And the fact that you just never gave up. Now you're getting what you want. And you're for those of you that are watching, write down the notes here. He was visualizing things, he invested in himself, he burned the ships here. He just went all in, didn't have a plan B. Your plan A, if you want to be amazingly successful, requires you to not look at plan B and C and D and everything else, because agents that don't make it, they're always looking at something else. Just like if you've got a beautiful wife and you shouldn't be looking around at everybody else walking by. Just little marriage tip for you. Okay. Keep your eyes on your lady and things will be better that night and every day of your marriage. But it's like, that's in business. It's the same way. Keep your eye on what you have in front of you. That's the most important thing. And we get distracted. And do you experience this sometimes too, where your agents get distracted by the shiny Medicare object or the shiny XYZ object that comes by? Do you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I
Squirrel.
mean, I'm going through it right now with an agent.
Yeah.
Like it's squirrel. Um, but it's like, uh, we I mean, if you look at a goose, right? You look at a goose, they like I guess it's kind of like the goose with the golden egg type thing. I'm trying to make this like philosophical here. It may not work, but it's like if you know that there's a goose that lays eggs that are gold, why would you not want to keep that thing alive and give it as much food as possible and just feed it and like beef that goose up so it's just like poo poo poo, like launching out gold eggs, like
Right.
and I think people, but it takes time. You got to let it grow to that. It's like olives, right? Like olive, I think an olive tree takes like 7 years or something before it bears fruit or longer. So it's like you gotta plant seeds and then they grow over time. And some people, they don't want to do that. They want to just like have the harvest. And yeah, you can do that. You can go to the market every day and buy food and get something nice, or you can learn how to grow your own stuff. So people get distracted. If you guys get distracted, I think your goals just aren't big enough, to be honest. Because I mean, dude, and life insurance companies own, I mean, we want to start a life insurance carrier here. That's our goal. Like life insurance companies own like the world almost, like seriously, like governments ask life insurance companies for money when they're in trouble. So like, why wouldn't you want, it's like, I don't know. If you get set on what you want and then make a plan of how you're going to get there, and you got to align insurance with your purpose. And if you're discouraged and you're like, something else looks better to me, you got to ask yourself like, okay, is that a right now thing, or is that a future thing? Like, is this long term going to contribute to my growth, or is this just a band-aid? Because if you're like, I need $2,000 to pay rent, you don't have a $2,000 problem. You have like a $200,000 problem.
Right.
So think what's going to help you get that. And just stay focused, be disciplined. That's what it is. But honestly, I've learned too. A lot of people that I meet for agents, I go through a lot of agents. Like a lot of people will never be motivated by anything ever. I just feel that, and it's sad, but I feel that it's hard to change that attitude. It really is to break that mold of like, nah, I don't care. So
Absolutely. Well, you can't train tall in basketball as much as we want to try. We just can't. I mean,
I like that.
it is what it is. It's like the hustle muscle. You know what I mean, Justin? It's like I can't train the hustle muscle. I was doing an interview with Cody on my channel, and we were going on to this, and I'm like, Cody, can you train the hustle muscle? Because I can't. Okay, I can motivate, but I can't help you
Yeah,
get out of bed every morning and kick you in the britches. I don't do that. I don't micromanage a soul just because
yeah,
I've been in companies that are like this, and I'm like, first off, it's not legal. W-2, right? If you're
Yeah.
W-2, you can tell people what to do. If you're 1099, unless it's compliance, sorry, I know enough in this industry that that's not cool. So I won't treat anybody that way. But yeah, it's something. You can't train tall in basketball, and we can't fix the hustle muscle. I wish I could help you, the audience. Justin, can you train the hustle muscle as good as you are?
No, I can't. I do. I try the first thing I cover in training with new
Yeah.
agents is goal setting and scheduling. Cause I'm like, you got to stay motivated because you got to think of the why. If you're thinking about do this
Right.
guys too, this will help you. This is what helped me. Cause there's a time in my life when I wasn't as motivated. Focus on your why. Now, if a lot of people get into business and there's a problem and they want to figure out how and what. When you focus on the why, most of the time, the how and the what happen. And what happens when you do that is like ingenuity and creative thinking are a result of your why being strong enough. Like any guys on here, if you've ever had a crush on a girl and you've like you'll know what I'm saying. Like you go out of your way, or like when you're super in love, you go out of your way to do these super creative, romantic, exciting things for your partner. And like because why? Like your why is so strong. And if you can change that and transmute that type of like create like commitment in your why to your business and get that why so strong in your business, then you'll start to have these creative, ingenious ways to find success in this business. That helped me.
That's a big deal. I mean, knowing your why, knowing your purpose. I mean, it's powerful for agents. It's also powerful, by the way, for everyone watching, for your prospects. Understand your prospects' inner why. You'll make way more money. I promise you. Like that, getting under
You're
the
right.
skin, you'll be more successful. Know what your client's why is. Your potential client. You want to capitalize. First off, it takes pain, like what Justin's saying here. It takes pain. You want to have the gains. You want to make the money and the gold. Well, you're gonna have to get your hands dirty. You got to get in the dirt, like he's saying, and you got to not give up. Like he's dropping gold for you here. You must not keep your eyes on things that aren't going to help you capitalize. Like what you're doing today, is it an income producing activity or is it an income reducing activity? Like look at the white space on your calendar. If you're not making the wealth, look at the white space on your calendar. If you're got all this empty space, you're not going to be successful. You've got to be driven. You've got to have that just gone. You got to be burning the ships, like Justin's saying, go through the pain if you want to get the gains. And hopefully, because 90% of the agent force will fail industry wide, not always with certain agencies, but industry wide, they won't make it. That's a stat that's pretty darn secure to count your beans by, but it's not anything that's going to allow you to not make success when you make it everything. When you go
Yeah,
all in,
exactly.
like what you're doing and what I've done, it's like, it's ridiculous. Like we don't make excuses. We make a way. And that's the difference, I think, between you and some other people in the industry, that they make excuses for why their day didn't go right. They don't own their activity. They don't own the fact that maybe they didn't buy leads. They don't own the fact that maybe they slept in 2 or 3 hours. They thought the pleasure was more important than the pain necessary to get that profitability. And that's power, what you just dropped. Just having that pain point.
Yeah, and people choose their pain, and like if you it's painful, but then it's more pain for me. The idea of not doing that was more painful. So I challenge by the way, guys, I do have a YouTube channel, Justin Vom Eigen. Just search my name on there. You'll see it'll come up. No one else has my name in the entire world. I can promise you, I've already
Exactly.
looked at it. And so, but start if you're saying out there saying I can't. I've done this. I've done this in less than 3 years, right? I've built a pretty successful, I'm going to call it an agency here, but pretty good team, production wise, 100% telesales. I've done it in a shorter amount of time than a lot of people. And like, I changed from saying I can't to how can I? So if anybody out here is saying I can't make 100,000 a year, I can't make 50,000 a year, I can't do 10,000 AP in a week, I can't do this, I can't do that. Start shifting your mind to how can I? So every time you say I can't, I want you to start being aware of that. Say how can, right? How can I do this? And start to try to shift your perspective on that so you can see the possibilities.
Power. I love that. Love that for the audience. You can accomplish great things if you get your can't out of the way. Every day, get the can't out of the way. Can do attitude. Like I know me personally, when I get out of bed, I'm like, I get to go do this. I get to go do this. I love it. Like I'm like dog getting held back in the starting blocks. Come on, let me chase the rabbit. Come on, let me go. You know, get that warning bell, and I dig it.
So I
It's a
am every day.
it doesn't stop, does it? Does it? Do you ever wake up, Justin, where you're like, oh, Eeyore, like, oh man, here we go,
No
gonna go
way.
drive to the
Never.
office? Isn't
I'll
it
wake up
fun?
earlier than I need to, and I'll be
Yes.
like, "Oh God, I gotta sleep in another hour," or like, it's, and I'll wake up
Yes.
like I can't remember the last time I woke up not motivated to just get up and just having those goals. Like Jason, you got some monster goals, man. I know you do, because nothing can. If you
Absolutely.
didn't, you wouldn't wake up and be that excited to get to work, and so
I
yeah.
love just seeing what the men and women do. Like I'm like a bad cheerleader. That's my fault. Big time. I'm a bad cheerleader. I love like celebrating what they do. That like my ego's, we all got a little bit of ego, but that's not what excites me. Like a lot of times when you're a new agent, you're like, yeah, I killed $1 million. Yes, I made all this big money. That doesn't move my meter anymore. I mean, yesterday I had an agent that did $80,000 plus, a single agent in life premium, big life
Wow.
case, just her alone. Excites me. When I got agents writing millions of dollars in annuity sales as
Huge.
a work family, that excites me because I see where they're going. I see what they're accomplishing. It's like having a family and watching your kid be a CEO that just grew up and is a man and is a mom and is a beautiful lady that like has her own family now and growing their own agencies. Like having so many agencies under my umbrella and watching just the partnerships, that's what is huge. And even for you, like here you are team building and you've got all your managers and everybody doing the job. I mean, I know that excites you. You and I text back and forth about stuff and
It
email on
does.
stuff, and it's power. I
And
mean,
guys,
isn't it
for
like intoxicating almost like to watch them win?
Oh, it is. And something I want to touch on here too, like if anybody's what, because I know I was in this position once when I was getting into the industry or about to, and I was like, okay, now how genuine is what someone may be saying here, where they're making a profit off of someone's sale. And so what I'm saying is I can genuinely say that, and sincerely say that Jason I know he's proud of his agents, because I'm there now, where I'm not where he is. I don't have as nearly a size of an agency or team or anything like that. But what I mean is I have agents, and when they're successful, I feel so I mean, it's so gratifying. And don't get me wrong, yes, I do have an override on their sales, but I would be okay with or without that agent. Like, so it's like it's truly where like we like seeing people grow. We like seeing people succeed. And when you know that you're helping put food on the table for someone's kids, when you're helping pay for kids to go to college, when you have start that college fund, when you're helping someone get a car they've never got before, buy their first house, take care of their parents, retire their parents, pay for their stuff for their grandparents who are sick. Like when you see people, you see the confidence in someone change, when you see them like start just changing their environment. When you see that transformation, that's what it is. It's like this career can transform you in more ways than just financially. And when you see someone go through that, a lot of people get into insurance broken. So when you can see that transformation from like broken to like successful and confident, it's really cool. It's so much. And you look back and like, man, like this, I can't really describe it. It's definitely a great feeling.
It's power. I mean, I know you feel the same way. It's like having your work family, having your agent force just accelerate. It's like, yes, here I am in my mid 40s and I've done this a long time. I've done, the insurance industry with my telesales background over 2+ decades, 20+ years. That's a lot of time in the industry. But I'm like kind of an old Corvette that's got carburetors, and to be able to watch these new Corvettes, these brand new agents just smoke it and get things done. That's like, yeah, like I'm not anything more than ecstatic. I'm not jealous of the younger agents.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for them. I was like, if I could trade bodies with you, brother, oh man, what I could accomplish in my 20s if I got to do my 20s all over again. Because I didn't
Yeah.
have a good mentor. Just
Yeah.
like you made it because of you. You invested in yourself. To be able to not have to do that, to have good people like you in their lives or me in their lives or some other great agency owner that will truly pick up a phone call and invest in them without making them schedule a Calendly and things of that nature. It's to have someone that's invested in you with active intentionality, it's a big deal. Like, I wasn't given turnkey systems when I first started. I was given a briefcase full of crap and go figure it out. That was kind of my background. But watching agents succeed, like what you're doing, and seeing your men and women just explode, and what I get to experience with the work family, I get excited. Like, honestly, I can't even control myself. Sorry, YouTube audience, it is what it is. But it's like to watch agents that make 50,000 a year in their past careers and have adversities and then overcome that and make more than that in a single month, a month selling insurance. That's just like, it's a game changer. And then getting to
It
talk to
is.
them about what their wives are yakking about and talking about experience, and the wives are excited about the husbands working, and the husbands are excited about, our ladies yesterday just crushing it, and one amazing agent alone doing $80,000 of life
Insane.
premium on a single case. Now, for you, the audience, this did not happen off a final expense lead. Okay. This is a, okay, just to put that out there. Okay. Whoa, we found the unicorn in the haystack. No, it's
Yeah.
not true. Okay. Ain't gonna lie to anybody.
Max
So
with every carrier.
I mean,
Max
you didn't
covered.
know, Justin, that like every one could be 80 grand. Much bull crap. But no, it's a life case that got a good referral off a final expense type lead and a life lead, and just worked it, nurtured it. This is something that's been in the works with lots of work, lots of referrals, lots of networking.
Mhm.
But then it happened. Just like you're talking about here,
It's huge.
getting your hands in the dirt, planting the seed, growing the soil, becoming successful.
Yes,
That's where
sir.
it's at. I dig it. And it's like your crew's getting it. And the fact that you guys don't have the chargeback debt, that's cool for, a lot of agents that maybe, I know I've sent a couple people your way, to your agency there, and, good people over
So
there. And
agents, yeah, we have a system set up to help mitigate chargeback debt. It's essentially just moving the money around, right? Some agencies do that where it's kind of like almost like a wash fund, but it's you can only get to a max, and then so it's not like we just hold like increasing amount of money forever for an agent. I've seen places do that too, but the roll up is for people building a team out, right? So
got it.
they're
Okay.
yeah. So I pay chargebacks, but I pay the direct chargeback. I don't pay like if someone sells and leaves and does, they lose some deal. I don't pay their portion. So the chargebacks for people here is just what their spread is. So
Nice. So that's always nice. That's a good
yeah.
thing. And in team building, have you had any hurdles that have held you like down just for 2 seconds when you're moving forward and progressing? You've invested into yourself big time in your career, but were there any like pain points that you had that maybe another agency owner or someone watching or even an agent could go, oh, that was his pain point, and maybe I'm going to push past that? What would you say was your like greatest pain point as an agency owner
Developing,
and then as an individual agent?
yeah, developing salespeople, not leaders. So if I could go back, I'd have developed leaders uh, as I'm developing salespeople, and then trying to, because what happened is I got to a point where I had so many people starting. I mean, we sign 70 to 100 people up a week for the insurance pre-licensing course. So like it got to a point where I was like,
Yeah.
hey, like I have all these people coming in and it's just me. I was going crazy.
Oh, wow.
And
Really?
yeah, so then I
Okay.
was trying to put people to man to I'm gonna you can't legally use the manager in 1099, but I'm gonna use manager, leader, whatever. Like I wanted to help them build their own group. One thing, guys, if you're building an agency or plan on it, just because someone's good at sales doesn't mean that they're a good leader. Like just because someone can put up the big numbers in the field, it does not mean that they are good at leading other people. Sometimes they're not. My best leaders are people who were consistent with their work ethic, showed up every day, didn't have emotional outbursts. None of them were like the rock star monster top producers, but they are stable and they're role models for other people, and they're strong anchor points to build off of. So that was a trouble I ran into with team building. Was I put the wrong people into leadership positions. Some of them are still with me, great people.
Sure.
And it came to the point where they're like, "Yo, this ain't for me," we established that. And then another thing, so that was a holdback thing. I would have done that a lot sooner, and I would have been more generous with overrides to people to build up a group, right? Because like I was like, oh, my spread's not going to be as high, but now it's like I'd rather be the guy making the smallest spread, because the people make the smallest spread are usually one, you got to do a little less work because that person, hey, you got to earn it, and then two, the people I see who make the most money in this business
Absolutely.
usually have the smallest spread. Nothing that held me
Absolutely.
back. No, yeah, nothing that held me down was recruiting. So I've noticed every single time I let off the gas for recruiting people, I have a drop in production a couple months down the road. And recruiting guys, this is the thing too. So if you go from sales to building, sales is like instant return on it. It's like printing money, right? Because you buy leads, you make sales, you make a profit. You buy leads, you make sales, you make a profit. It's right away. Now building, if you invest into growth and job boards and recruiting, you're not going to, unless you're recruiting licensed agents, you're not going to see a return on that for 2 or 3 months down the road, because people have to get through the license course. They have to get licensed. They have to learn. They have to train. Someone's third month is going to be better than their first month probably. So it's a longer gratification. So just keep that in mind. That's a tip. That was to anybody here, that if you're building and it's not like month 2, you're like, oh my God, what happened? It's because it's a longer return.
Oh, I love that. And it is a longer return. And when you were an individual agent, what would you say was your greatest? And I love you sharing that with the audience. What would you say when you were just an agent, what was your biggest like pain point or holdback that you got past? Because you obviously did. You blew past it big time. What would you say was your biggest pain point as a brand new agent?
Yeah. So it was driving around. I hated that.
Yeah.
So I sold cars, and the IMO I was with, they're like, yeah, the telesales thing, I don't know, no one really does that. And I was like, I could do it. I'm like, and because I was like, why could I not? And I always encourage people, like you were saying, not the monster premium. So I was always like, okay, 50 to $100 for the first policy, and then I'm going to call them a few months down the road to see if they want to add something else instead of slamming them with like this monster policy. So I was like, okay, I can realistically sell this on the phone. So I remember the first time I used to mail the applications to people to sign, and they actually did it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. And I remember the first, it was funny because I hear agents say, don't mail people anything. And I'm like, hold on, how long have we been making money off direct mail leads? Like,
right?
Don't mail people things. So so as an agent, it was driving around. I live in South Florida, and traffic is like ridiculous in some parts. Like it'll take you an hour to go 1.5 miles, and that's no exaggeration. So it's like, okay, like I can't do this to drive to a no show. So that was the biggest frustration. And then I never got into the business with the plan to be an agent, like perpetually. It was like I got in to build a business. So I was like, okay, I can, I wanted to blow past where I was in the car business as a manager. So I was like, okay, what do I have to do? I knew the sales game, and so that was, and then lead flow, I guess, was another a tough thing. And like, okay, we're in figuring out how, like, the system to develop to work the leads, so that you can teach that so I can teach that to someone else and scale it out. And yeah, so it was honestly the biggest thing was driving around, and that's what pushed me to do telesales. And then I was like, dude, I got something that I can scale here, so this is cool. I'm gonna roll with it.
I mean, telesales is just, you and I've chatted about this. It's so amazing the freedom it gives us
Oh yeah.
to, we're not bound by geography. It's like I'll be in a different state, weeks from now with my family, working like an animal, doing the same thing I do at my corporate office, but I'm not tied down like Pinocchio with strings. And neither are you. You got content on your channel, and I'll put his link here, so you can follow his YouTube channel as well in the description. But you were able to travel and still make money, working like a dog, but didn't have to wear a shirt, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture? We don't have to do what? I mean, do you sit on beaches and, I sit on, decks and patios and pools and not work? Like a lot of times like people think that, oh, you can just go travel and money just flies out of the sky. And that's a big lie.
No.
Right?
No. And I love working though, Jason. I think it's, I think I work is fulfilling. I feel like at one point in the last few hundred years, the hard work had to become hard in order for people to feel like they're doing something. I don't really consider it hard work because I enjoy it. So it's not like I go, it's like hard work is like you wake up, you're like, I gotta go do this. So if you can just stop saying, like, remove the negative connotation from work. The most depressed people I know are the people who don't work. So, like, yeah. So, and you, yeah, you have to work if you go places, and if you go with your family too, gamify it, right? So like, if you're going with family or like people that are close to you and important to you, then obviously they want some time from you too. And you're on vacation. I've experienced that. So it's like, it will gamify it. Be like, okay, cool. If you guys can help me, push me to get this done, then the sooner I get this done, you guys got all my time on this after that. So it's like, okay, cool. Now I know once, boyfriend, girlfriend, dad, mom, husband, wife gets this done, then they're all mine. So I'm going to support them to getting that. And then at least that's, that's kind of helping and stuff. So
Use it as a motivator. I love it.
yeah, exactly.
That's big. Use it as a motivator. I love what you said prior to where you said your top producers were not always your top trainers and managers. And that's something where a lot of top producers, which I don't know what you found, but I've seen this in my career where top producers will not take the time to pick up Justin's phone call. Top producers will not take the time to mentor someone else because they're all about me, myself, and I. And I'm not saying that negatively to some of you top producers. You should be focused on me, myself, and I as a top producing agent. But when you transition from individual agent to going into the agency ownership lane, you've got to have enough money to not be focused on you. It's not you anymore. And that's where, like, for me, I've done this so many years, run professional call centers prior to the insurance world. And then I made the wealth from working as an agent for countless years that kind of when I stepped into it, the money didn't matter. The agents mattered. And when you take money out of that equation, and of course we all make good money, but when money doesn't matter, it doesn't kind of move the needle, you can be focused on the most important thing, which is just investing into the agent force, investing into them, expecting nothing but hoping that they succeed because they want it, giving them everything they want. And then when they get everything we want, then everything happens well. And
That's why
it's
New
like,
York Life pulls writing numbers from their so at New York Life, I remember when someone went to partner, which is a recruiter, it's a glorified word for recruiter.
Sure.
They have their their personal writing number pulled. So it's impossible for them to write business. So it was kind of puts a strangle on that where there's no temptation. So it just kind of filters that out to like, yeah, you can help, you can grow, but you won't be able to write a single policy ever again on your own pen. So that it's kind of a ruthless way of doing it, but the idea makes sense where you put all in, and that's what it is. From the moment I started building, it was not, I'm going to build this out and then because I essentially have my own agency within Senior Life Service, like I'm pretty autonomous. We don't the naming, I don't know how the nomenclature is, but sure. But like we when I stepped in that position, it was fully about my people. It was never like, yeah, give me a minute. I was never busy closing a sale too busy closing a sale for myself that I couldn't help an agent close a sale who needed help. So it was always like, hey, what can I do to provide for people? So guys, that's so true. You become a caregiver in a sense.
I've respected you so much early on when you were doing this. I was, you and I chatted and really had great respect for you because that was your heart.
Thanks.
Like, is to help. And it's like you and I are both in a position where we're not going to be selfish. We'll light money on fire to go fix what we need to help and serve to make the agent force successful. And that's not common. Like I was talking to another agency owner and he was, kind of shocked because I gave a sale away because I sold it. I sell actively just because I like getting in the trenches. I give
sales away too. Oh yeah. I do the same thing. Yeah.
And you give it away. It's not like if I'm like, hey, who's licensed in Illinois? Hey, who's licensed in this state? I just sold a blankety blank company. Hey, I'm going to give it to you. You're just an order taker. Here you go, buddy. Appreciate you. Pop, give it to them. Like in some other agency owners that I, am friends with and chat with, they're kind of like, what? You gave that away? What kind of split did you do? I'm like, nothing. Like nothing. Like, why would I do a split? Like, I'm trying to help what they're doing. And I get it. And that's where the industry is definitely lined, with folks that are good people, but they just operate differently. They don't operate the way you do, Justin. It's just kind of different waters, right? And it's like some families may be great, for some people, and then other work families may be better for another agent. And it is kind of like a family, like who you have as an upline, a mentor, it does matter.
It really does.
I mean, my captive career early on, I had a great manager, a great person that showed me the ropes. I owe a lot to him. Great man. I worked with him till he died, and good man. And did I make good commissions? Nope. It was dog crap compared to what we do in the independent world. I mean, realistically, it really was, but I didn't let it hold me back. I still made crazy good money, even at like 40+% comp grids. So it's having the ability to capitalize on your comp is vital, but Yeah, it's growth in the industry. Just like you started out kind of in a quasi captive and then went independent and went into the team building with SLS, and now you found success and helped other people, get what they need as well. And I don't know, have you seen that too, where you talk to agents that have been with other agencies that you interview with, just like I do, where maybe that's not the play, that's not their experience? Have you seen kind of the horror stories of the industry?
Yeah, you mean where they don't have the support? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. And one thing I've seen is like, and I've talked to different people who are agency owners or team agency builders, and I like to say everyone I work with is a partner of mine. I'm partnered with everybody here. Even if downline or not, I feel like I'm partners with them. And they a big thing I notice, and I've seen this in people who it separates the great agency owners I've seen from the good ones, is when a downline makes, and this is a good thing for you guys too, if you know if building for you is something or not. When a downline makes a sale, are you worried about your spread or how much they made? And if the first thing that comes to mind is, wow, this person just made this much money, then you're probably, then you'd be a good leader. The first thing that comes to your mind is cranking the numbers. How much money did I personally make off their sale? Then it may not be, you may have a couple things. You could still be a great leader, but you may have a couple things to work on. And I've noticed that, because I never once ever was like, how much money did I just make off that sale? It was, well, that person just made this much. And I remember telling the woman I was with at the time, and like when I first brought on agents, I'm like, this guy just made this much off a lead I gave him. She's like, wow, that's so cool, And she's like, how much did you make? And I'm like, oh, I made this. And then I didn't really realize the impact of that till later, when I brought people in to be leaders who were some of those top producers, and they're like, person made a sale, they're like, how much did I make off that? And I'm like, how much did you make, bro? I'm like, how much did they make? Like, well, I gotta worry
Exactly.
about me too. And I'm like, so that's something. So if you find yourself like thinking that, or maybe you feel like you're with someone who's like thinking that, then maybe you may want to look at working with someone who isn't about like how much they're making, and it's like, hey, how much can I help you make? Because I'm telling you, and if you go and help other people accomplish their goals, they're gonna help you. So
Absolutely. And it's huge. I call it, what's the stinkiest breath on the planet as an insurance agent? It's commission breath. It's nasty, right? And it's like when you're selling a policy and they can smell your commission breath. Ooh, I'm going to sell Justin a policy. How much is Jason going to make, man? I can't wait. Oh, I'm already got my abacus out counting my little nuts that I'm going to take to the bank. Yeah, I'm going to sell Justin a big policy today. Like nobody likes that. It just
no.
stinks. And it's like, as an agency owner, it's the same thing. And some agency owners, they haven't been around as long, right? They kind of are selfish, like Justin's saying. They're just like cutting into you pretty deep. And, joining an agency like mine at jasonfinalexpense.com or others, there's not all these layers in between you and the company. And that helps you capitalize. That's a big deal. So you get a good, fair handshake. Yes, I make a tiny pinch, just like Justin makes a tiny, fair pinch on your production only when you're successful. And that's
Yeah,
big. That's
it is.
big. Like you weren't in a position where I was getting paid almost nothing. And it was like monstrous spreads going to every manager, every
Yeah.
micromanager, every vice president, every district rah-rah. And it's like everybody's got their little, okay, Ferraris and Lamborghinis and fat Rolexes and saying, oh, Justin, I was at conference, and oh, Justin, I was talking about you the whole time. And you're like,
Oh yeah. I know that. That's how it was.
did you hear that
Where I
crap too?
started. Yeah, I did. Jason, I have a call at 1 with 2, buddy. The
Oh,
company.
awesome,
I'm
buddy.
gonna have
Well,
to jump off,
thank
but I
you
appreciate it, man.
for
This was great,
joining
dude.
me. For those of you in the audience, thank you, Justin, for joining us. Justin Vom
Thank you, everybody.
Eigen, reach out. I'm going to
Eigen.
put his
Yeah,
information. Vom Eigen, totally butchered it. Sorry, brother.
no
I'm horrible
problem.
at names, as you know, but Justin Vom Eigen, go to his channel. It's underneath here in the description. Appreciate you joining us, brother. We'll see you again soon. Anything we can do to serve you, we will. Appreciate you. Have a great
Appreciate
day,
you
buddy.
guys.
If you need anything at
Hey,
all,
thanks,
see you soon.
Jason. All right. See ya.